Hi everybody, welcome back to Kevin's Carvings. We're covering our beginner hand tool series. All right, for those that are totally beginners, that's what this series is about. And this is introducing you to some of the hand tools that we'll be using on the channel. We already covered a strop right here in the last video. Of course, that right there is how you're going to keep your knife sharp by stropping it. Okay, and make sure that you use polishing compound when you do that. All right, so this right here is our detail knife. You have detail knives and you have rough out knives. Right now we're just covering the detail knife, and I showed you in the last video you know, just a basic cut with your detail knife, and this right here is what we did our eye with in the last video. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the hand tools that we use besides our knife in this video, to introduce you guys to some of the carving tools that we'll be using on the channel. All right, and this right here is a palm set. These right here are files. Now you can get these in all kinds of different sets. You can get the flex cut sets, you can get beavercraft sets. There's all kinds of different sets, right? This right here is a pretty high quality set, right? If you like any of the tools that I do use in any of my videos, I'll always put a link to my Amazon store in the description below. You can always go check them out if you'd like to pick up a set there. We do actually make a small commission if you do buy it, and that helps support the channel. So I thank you in advance if you do use any of those links. We do get a small commission. It's not much, but every little bit helps to keep us making videos, and we appreciate it also. Okay, so with that said, we're going to talk a little bit about each tool and what they do. All right, now in a basic palm tool set like this, what you're going to do is you're going to get a V tool. Of course, that's if you buy a set that has these, all right, because there are different tools in different sets. But anyway, your basic V tool looks like this, all right, and it has, of course, the shape of a V. And let me show you what kind of cut that makes. That's really what this video is going to be about, is what each tool does. Now, a V tool will make grooves, and you will use this V tool a lot. You see those cuts? Now, if you're doing hair, all right, for instance, you know, you would just make a series of lines and pretty much take out the high spots, all right? And you can make these random, or you can have a certain pattern to them, all right? So that right there is what the V tool does. It makes a V-shaped cut, okay? And it makes a series of lines like that. All right, now this right here is a little bit bigger V tool. This happens to come with two of them. This is a smaller one, and the smaller one will just help you get in better spots a little easier, smaller spots, I mean, okay? And it'll make the same type of cut, all right? Only with smaller lines, all right? That's all that is. The same type of cut, only a little bit thinner, all right? Now, the next thing I want to cover is a gouge. And the gouge has a sweep on it, all right? And the sweep, when you're talking about a sweep, or if I mention the sweep in each video, is that circular U shape, all right? Now, certain sweeps are a little bigger, certain sweeps are a little bit shallower, all right? For instance, in the smaller gouge, you see how shallow this sweep is, all right? So this right here, well, actually, these sweeps are about the same. This is a number 8, all right? And the number stands for how deep that sweep is, all right? That's the type of sweep you're going to have. So this right here has the same type of U shape. No, it's this one. I'm sorry. My eyes are bad. This one has about the same steepness of that U shape as this one, all right? They're both number 8s, yeah. These right here are next to cover. But let me show you what a gouge does. And a gouge lives up to its name because that's exactly what it does, all right? A gouge will gouge out and hog out the wood pretty much, okay? And that's what a gouge does. Removes a lot of wood, all right? For instance, when we were doing our eyes, you know, in the last video, if we were going to do it with hand tools, you would gouge out a spot here, all right? Take one of your V tools, all right, and you could start making eyelashes and eyelids and everything for your eyes. And when you got your small gouge, the gouge by pushing it in like that. Once you mix all these together, I got paper towels down here, sorry, so you can see. See how that gouge will make the cut, whatever shape that cut is. I'm dropping stuff. Is what that cut's going to be like. Whatever shape that tool is, I mean. So if I took my detail knife and I popped this little piece out I just gouged out, you see how you can start forming an eye really quick with just these little V-tools and gouges, okay? So to cover that, we'll make some carvings with the hand tools, and you guys can see how quick and easy and how nice it is to have a set of hand tools, and you can start making eyes and noses and everything with them. And they leave nice clean cuts. What's nice about using hand tools is each cut is really a finished cut. So there's very little sanding when you're carving with hand tools, okay? So we have a detail knife. You're going to need one of those. You're going to need a set of palm chisels eventually, all right, if you want to hand carve. We're going to cover this stuff with the Dremel too. All right. And you're going to need a strop to sharpen everything and keep it honed. All right. So we covered a V-tool. We covered the gouges. Once you have the gouges, you know what your gouges do. Then you have another type of tool in most of these sets, and this would be a veiner. And a veiner has a very steep, I don't know if you could see this in the camera, but it's a very steep U-type shape. Can you see that? All right. And a veiner does pretty much the same thing as like a small gouge, only the U is a lot steeper. So it's almost like a V-tool, but with a smoother cut. Okay. And you can use a veiner to do a lot of stuff that you would use a V-tool for. But after you use the veiner, if you ran a small V-tool through or underneath that line, it'll sharpen the line like that. Okay. And a veiner gives you kind of a softer type of cut. See how that's a little bit softer than the V-tool? All right. So sometimes you just want to blend stuff with the veiner and then use your V-tool after that. For instance, that's great for hair, you know, and sometimes maybe eyelashes. All right. Make sure I have the right one. So if you're doing eyelashes, you know, and you want to make some marks to run a V-tool through, I use a veiner a lot for that. Sometimes I just use a veiner to do hair because I don't want to put real heavy lines in with the V-tool. Okay. So a veiner has its place too. And they come in all different shapes and sizes, like I say. And then the micro veiner, after these regular size veiners, all right, is almost like a needle-like type veiner, which you could put very, very fine detail in. See how small those lines are? Okay. So if I wanted to put very, very fine detail into a carving, I would use a micro veiner. All right. You could even sometimes, instead of doing all these big eyelashes, you could just make little tiny eyelashes with the micro veiner. All right. See how small. All right. And you can start getting more and more realistic looks that way. So that right there is what we're going to be using on this channel. And if you have any questions about which of these tools does what, like I say, the more of these you have, or even just having one set and knowing what it does, okay, makes for a really nice introduction to hand carving and being ready to make any of the projects that we're going to have, all right, on this channel. So you should know what each one of your tools does. You know, as you can see, they all have different cuts, but they all have their own purpose. And you can mix these cuts together, like I said. You can mix that cut. You can put small lines underneath and inside the other ones, all right? And they all have their own purpose, all right? So that's what a palm set does. This is some of the things you can do with it. We're going to make a whole face, and we'll start detailing things up and make projects like this and this. No Dremel involved, no power carving, right? But you can get very good detail, all right, in all your projects with hand tools. So we are going to cover that on this channel in depth. So hopefully you guys will know how to do both. Hand carve with hand tools, use your Dremel, and then once we cover that pretty good and we have a lot of projects going and you guys are confident with that, we will go to chainsaw carving. Okay, so I hope this helped. I will see you everyone in the next video, and we'll make a carving. Maybe we'll do one of these. A nice little beginner project. Okay? Okay. See you then.